at the Supreme Court. We are waiting. First of all, Babu, you're in that camp. How come there's this big delay? Did it catch you by surprise?
I think, Betty, this is not a surprise, but when it comes to legal matters, then things must be put straight. There has to be confirmation, proofreading, so that we don't file something that is not going to be watertight to justify the conviction. But I believe when it comes to this issue of the Supreme Court, indeed, we always say that the judiciary is independent, but I don't see the independence of the judiciary because we have the same forest with the same monkeys. There's precedents that has already been set from 2013. The same people, I think, only 3 of them have been changed, but I'm not seeing any surprise. Personally, I don't believe in the judiciary in this nation.
But shouldn't you? I mean, you're taking this thing to court. Shouldn't you believe in the process?
I will not, and I will not be coerced or forced or be under duress to believe so. I will not believe in the judicial system in this nation. Because what happened in 2013, there'll be a replica of the same thing that happened in 2013. There's already the precedents that has been set. In Africa, I've never seen any presidential petition succeeding taken to a court of law.
All right.
So this, to me, is a crazy one.
It's a crazy one, you say.
But the judiciary must prove themselves, because once they mess up this petition, then no Kenyan should seek any justice from a court of law.
All right.
Then Kenya better be a banana republic.
All right. And that's something Raila Odinga said a few days ago. John Kerry, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this one. Raila came out and said that, this is a chance for the Supreme Court to redeem itself from 2013. What are your sentiments in regards to this petition this time round?
Well, Betty, this evening's proceedings need to be seen in light of what has led to this. Remember that the court fraternity promised us on Sunday that they're going to make an announcement on Monday, which did not happen. And they pushed it to Tuesday. And anyone observing from outside, because some of us don't hold brief for NASA, anyone observing from outside would only make one conclusion, and that is the fact that this court process happens to only be a plan B. There must have been something that was planned to be executed maybe and announced on Monday, and that did not happen on Monday, neither did it happen on Tuesday. And maybe this delay is informed by the fact that this is just a last-minute attempt to maybe even delay the process of the inauguration. But most importantly is we can address what is here and now, because we are speaking to a lawyer, and in that case, Mheshimiwa Babu Owino, coming on live TV and saying that he does not believe in the legal process. That's a tragedy, because he's not only a lawyer, he's also an individual who is going into parliament to legislate. And when you make laws in Bunge, you're not going to make laws and execute them yourself. These laws will be executed through the court process. So, Babu, I would ask you to have a bit more belief in what you have studied and what you will be plying as a trade, and also believe in the process that will be executing the laws that you make in Bunge.
I was taught something in first year, something called the precedence. Once a precedence is set, then there's a likelihood. And the court system, majorly they work with precedence. When precedence is set up, there's nothing that can overrule it.
All right.
Well, but precedence applies in a case of 2 identical situations. And I can tell you for a fact that the case of 2013 cannot be similar to the case of 2017. We are going through a totally different political process, but also electoral process. We all remember how the election of 2007 was conducted,
but you remember
how the process of 2013 was conducted, and the complete overhaul of the system to come into 2017. So the precedent set in 2013 does not apply. We're actually comparing oranges and apples.
You remember in 2013 when the AG was using precedents in other nations to prove that the Kenyan election was free and fair.
Yes.
And to me, being a lawyer in the making and legislature, I believe so much that the laws that we shall pass, I think that the court will have to act on them. When it comes to presidential petition, it's completely a different thing. And I think they will be selective acting on the petition. I think it will be selective.
But
Betty,
Babu, do you
Betty,
think right now that maybe
without
NASA
wanting to be prejudicial in this case, so that we don't let what Babu has said fly on the matter of precedence, remember that when you go to court, the precedence might be relied on a mere application. It can be relied on the full matter of the issue. And this is what they call authorities. And they don't rely on authorities fully to make a judgment. An authority could be relied on just an application made, a simple application on the bigger matter. And I think, my point was 2013 and 2017 are two totally different matters.
And Babu, just want to hear your thoughts, because before the election, NASA had quite a number of wins, in the run-up to the elections, especially against IEBC. So why was it that at that time the judiciary was independent, but now seemingly you feel uncomfortable about the Supreme Court?
Betty, let me tell you something. The main reason why the court system was set up is to protect the elites from the people who are not elites. In this case, in this situation, when we compare the opposition and the government is more elitist than the opposition. Now, the main reason why the law was set was to protect the elites from from the less elites. Now, when you look at the judicial system, first of all, look at the appointment of the Chief Justice. He goes through a competitive process, he is interviewed, but 3 names are given to the president to make an appointment upon subject to approval by the parliament. Parliament was full of, the majority were Jubilee MPs. Now it was obvious that whatever the president appoints will be definitely passed in the parliament because of the tyranny of numbers. So in my view, and my brother will not be under any undue influence to believe otherwise. Yeah. But I just know that this judicial system, when it comes to this presidential petition, to me, I believe that the president will still call the shots.
But okay,
Betty,
fine. Finally, I want us to wrap up on this issue.
I just want to hope that this is Babu Owino's position and not NASA's position. And
that is my position.
I've got to say something about the route that NASA has taken. And we as Kenyans ought to laud the route that NASA has taken, because it is the procedural route to take. It's a legal way to take. But even most importantly, we know that the moment they made an announcement that they are going to court, the tensions in this country are reduced to almost nil. And so we've got to give credit where it's due. The fact that they have decided to go the way of the courts is something that we ought to commend. And it would be unfair for Babu, and it would be unfair, Babu, for you to already act to God and say that it's already determined. We all don't know what the outcome of this process is going to be when they go to court.
All right, Babu, finally on this one. So, I mean, going by the feelings that you have about, the judiciary, and hoping that it's not the entire NASA coalition that feels the same, do you think that this time round NASA has been able to put up a strong case than it had back in 2013? We hear there's a 9,000-page affidavit.
I think a case is about facts and law, which NASA has. We have almost a 9,000-page document to prove our case. And I believe that whatever happened in this election, as I believe, the way I believe and the way the NASA supporters and NASA principals believe is that it was a sham. And by the end of the day, if I were the person making decisions, I would have made a very radical decision, because going to court is enshrined in the Kenyan Constitution for a presidential petition. Also, using other means, peaceful demonstration is also enshrined in the Kenyan Constitution. My way would have been the peaceful demonstration.
But that would not have resulted to Raila Odinga getting into State House, wouldn't have?
It would have.
All right.
Yeah.
Fine.
Well,
John, your thoughts on this? Because the only other option for the elections to be challenged is through the Supreme Court.
I think I've said it before, that the route that NASA has taken is the correct, the right and legal way to go. And being in a political process like we have been with Mheshimiwa Babu,
yes.
We all know the pain of losing an election. And it only so happens that when you get into an election, you already know that you're either going to win or lose. But most importantly, there is reprieve. If you feel that you have been unfairly denied your victory, the route to take is to go to court. And I am sure, you know, you can't sit pretty yet, Babu Owino. You don't know if there's a petition coming up against your election. They've got 21 days to file these things. You might also end up in court defending your win.
No problem.
So,
I'm a lawyer.
So
I'll defend myself.
So I think the best way to take it is, as NASA has decided to do, and go to court. And let's await the outcome of it and not play God to say that we already know what the outcome is.
All right, fine. Yes. So we're still waiting to see what's going to be happening at the Supreme Court, waiting for the NASA legal team and perhaps the principals to be heading to the Supreme Court to file that petition. We've been waiting all day, and they just have a few hours, maybe two, actually maybe almost 1.5 or 2.5 hours to go before that window is closed. So we'll take a break here on Kivumbi 2017, and we're coming back in a few minutes to continue with the conversation. And when we come back, we'll also be hearing from Teardrops, who is a poet. He has written beautiful pieces to do with such a season, and is going to be performing one of it here in studio. So don't go away. We have so much more coming in the next few minutes. We'll be seeing you that time.
This is KTN News.
Haya viongozi ni vifaranga vya kuku, vikaranga vya kompyuta. Kompyuta ndio iliwataga, kompyuta iliangulia, kompyuta ikawatoa. Vifaranga vya kompyuta.
This is KTN News.
All right, thank you very much for staying with KTN News. This is Kivumbi 2017. We continue with our coverage, and we want to take you straight to the Supreme Court. We understand that the NASA team has just arrived there finally, as you can see, quite some activity.